Hello guys. Welcome to this Wednesday video. Hope you guys doing fine. Things have been going on crazy around here. So I have a lot today to talk about. I'm really behind in a lot of things, but I'm sorry I could not come back yesterday to do the video. Been having some company. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and try to do and get into the news today. Israel news, state of emergencies going on all around the country. We got a lot of things going on with Ukraine. So we're going to get into a song today from Mia, and then we're going to get into Dave Hodges and some other people, Watchmen. And so I hope you guys understand the things that's going on today. It's time to really get involved with what's happening. Stay prepared, be prepared. Put angels in the midst of all of you out there because so much is going on. So I'm going to go ahead and play a song here in a bit. Let's go through my disclaimer and then we'll go through, get to the song Mia. If I use notice, and so get on into my disclaimer and get on over to a song. So it's cold in Colorado. Okay, let me go ahead and do a song. See a song here that I like so much. Okay.
Is your speaker on?
Speaker on? What? Out of this?
Help me to be TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israel urges all parties involved in the Ukraine-Russia crisis to do whatever it takes to prevent bloodshed. Damascus blames Israel for allegedly launching a surface-to-surface strike on reported Iranian targets in southern Syria. Iran continues to demand American assurances that a revival of the 2015 nuclear agreement would not be abolished by future U.S. administrations. Mounting tensions on the Russia-Ukraine front prompted Jerusalem's decision to follow in the footsteps of Washington, Ottawa, and London to relocate Israel's embassy from Kiev to the western city of Lvov. In a phone conversation held between Israeli Foreign Minister Yair Lapid and his ambassador to Ukraine, Mikhail Brodsky, Jerusalem's top diplomat emphasized Israel's priorities first and foremost to the lives of its emissaries and citizens of the State of Israel, as well as the large Jewish community in the country. Meanwhile, upon arrival at the temporary Israeli mission in Lvov, Ambassador Brodsky reiterated Jerusalem's call on Israelis to leave Ukraine.
צוות השגרירות הגיע לעיר לבוב. אנחנו נמשיך לתת שירות לאזרחים הישראלים מכאן, ואנחנו ממשיכים לקרוא לכל האזרחים הישראלים לעזוב את אוקראינה כמה שיותר מהר.
Amid tensions coupled with concentrated hostilities on the Russia-Ukraine front, threatening the volatile situation from spiraling into broader hostilities, Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz once again reiterated in an address to a distinguished gathering of the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations that all must be done to prevent bloodshed in Europe and elsewhere.
I am aware of what worries the world these days. We all aware of the crisis in Ukraine. As someone who has experienced conflict, lost brothers in arms, and seen hundreds of bereaved families during my over 40 years of service, I can tell you that in war, even the winner gets to lose. Therefore, I believe that all parties involved must do whatever it takes to prevent bloodshed.
Minister Gantz went on to assert that Jerusalem is also committed to preventing unnecessary bloodshed. Moreover, at a time when the Islamic Republic of Iran is reportedly expected to renew a watered-down version of its nuclear arrangement with world powers, Israel is increasingly determined to stand shoulder to shoulder with its Gulf partners in the face of Iranian aggression. Jerusalem's top defense official went on to stress, amid looming ratification of the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran, that regardless of whether an agreement is reached or not, a set of offensive options, including sanctions, must be available at standby to confront future Iranian violations. In tandem, world powers need to guarantee that the tens of billions of dollars that will replenish Tehran's depleted treasury will not be utilized to reinvigorate the coffers of its regional proxies, as was the case after the so-called JCPOA was reached in 2015.
Iran strives to be a hegemon. Its nuclear program is a major enabler for that, but it is just one part of it. The second is taking over failed states and conducting war by proxy. As you can see behind me, during the JCPOA period, Iran increased its security budget by 50%. We must deal with Iranian aggression and support for the proxies and ensure that their so-called security budget isn't increased and money isn't poured into terrorism.
Defense Minister Gantz also listed concerns regarding Iran's extensive efforts in support of rogue regimes and terror organizations in South America, Africa, and Venezuela in particular, reiterated his call on the international community to stand united in proactively pressuring Iran.
The international community, under the US leadership, must be proactive, taking defensive and offensive actions to counter direct and indirect Iranian aggression anywhere, anytime. We must address both Iran's nuclear ambitions and its regional aggression. We have the capability to produce advanced defense systems. We have a duty to share intelligence, and we have the means as a community to pressure Iran.
After calling on the international community to stand up to Iran's blind behavior, Damascus has pointed a blaming finger toward Jerusalem, claiming it had launched a surface-to-surface strike targeting some positions in the vicinity of Quneitra, situated on the Syrian side of the Golan Heights. According to a Syrian military statement published by the regime-run Sana news agency, a number of surface-to-surface missiles were launched around 12:30 a.m. from the direction of the Israeli side of the Golan, targeting a number of points in the vicinity of Quneitra, causing some material damage. According to local sources, the targets included a building and an observation post near the village of Ruwahina, which were utilized by what they termed to be pro-Iranian militants. Despite the blame directed at Israel, however, the IDF spokesperson's unit did not confirm or deny its alleged responsibility in response to TV7's request for comment. Separately in Yemen, the Saudi-led coalition conducted dozens of airstrikes against positions belonging to the Iranian-backed Houthis in the cities of Al-Baida and Hajjah, where the Islamic Republic's footprint continues to sustain repeated setbacks. And while Iran, by means of its Houthi proxy, unyieldingly persists in battling the Saudi-led coalition, which includes the United Arab Emirates among others, in support of the internationally recognized Yemeni government of President Abd Rabu Mansour Hadi, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi and Emirati Energy Minister Suhail al-Mazraoui attended a two-day summit of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum, or GECF, that was hosted by Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani in the Qatari capital Doha. In his remarks at the backdrop of mounting tensions in Ukraine, the Iranian president voiced Tehran's objection to any form of sanctions that after the U.S. Treasury announced the imposition of economic costs in response to Moscow's actions in Donetsk and Luhansk regions, including the blacklisting of Russian oil tankers named Linda and Pegas, which have long been monitored over transporting oil from Iran to Russia.
از جمله جامعه جهانی باید مانع هر گونه اقدام یکجانبه و قهری نظیر تحریم‌های ظالمانه ایالات متحده آمریکا علیه صنعت نفت و گاز از اعضای مجمع گردد و آن را به رسمیت نشناسد.
President Raisi, who proclaimed during his trip Tehran's unrelenting demand to receive guarantees to ensure that a revival of the 2015 nuclear agreement would not be abolished once again by future U.S. administrations, went on to highlight the Islamic Republic's aspiration of playing an important role in securing the global energy supply of natural gas, and that it was willing to accomplish its goal in cooperation with Qatar, a Gulf Arab country which on January 31st, U.S. President Joe Biden announced would be made a major non-NATO ally of the United States.
ایران به عنوان یکی از بزرگترین دارندگان ذخایر گاز طبیعی جهان از ظرفیت بسیار بالایی برای تولید، انتقال و صادرات گاز طبیعی و مشارکت بیشتر در تأمین امنیت عرضه انرژی جهانی برخوردار است. اما آمادگی داریم این گونه مدل‌های همکاری و مشارکت را به صورت حداکثری توسعه دهیم، به ویژه با کشور همسایه و برادر قطر.
It is separately interesting to know that last week, during an oil and gas exhibition conference that was held in the Egyptian capital, Cairo, a panel that included energy ministers from Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Israel, and Cyprus discussed the potential for oil prices to climb above $100 a barrel amid elevated geopolitical tensions emanating from the Russia-Ukraine crisis.
I don't want it to happen, but it is looking like going to 100.
I think what is happening to the market is a geopolitical tension, and that's what's driving primarily the prices. We will, so it's very difficult to predict when it comes to geopolitics what is going to be the price range. What I can comment always on is the fundamentals of the market. So today I think we are outside the fundamentals, and it's that geopolitics that is taking us to this height.
I think if we don't want to be in that point, we have to make sure that we have diversity of energy sources. I think that oil and natural gas makes a relationship and collaboration between countries, and that's something that we need to keep on doing. It's very good for the region.
Thank you for watching us. As part of TV7 Israel's prayer initiative, I would like to encourage you to persist with prayer for the situation revolving Russia and Ukraine, alongside prayers for our persecuted brothers and sisters worldwide, in addition to our ongoing prayers for the peace of Jerusalem and the salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you an Erev Tov Mevorach, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.
This is Dabu 7. We have a state of emergency declared in Ukraine. We have also, on top of the state of emergency, a series of major cyber attacks that they're saying is targeting the Ukrainian parliament, multiple government and foreign ministry websites. They are down. Some are asking the question, is this a precursor to something bigger that's about to happen? We know there's a lot of hostilities around this region. I've dropped other videos on it. We've been talking about Ukraine for a long time, all the way back to the Obama administration, when we broke down Maidan and everything that happened there, how they came in, took all the gold out of the country after an elected government was ran out of the country, and they were ran into Russia. Belarus also leaning on Russia. In these two areas of Donetsk and Luhansk that basically are declaring their independence, they're at the heart of all this right now, around this region of the Donbass. And Russia has troops in the bordering area all over. Now, these big-time cyber attacks are targeting big places, not just banks like we saw the other day. So now it's at another level. I feel there's going to be some kind of repercussion to this here on the world stage, and it's going to affect America, whether it is cyber attacks hitting our banks, our industries, or the lights go out. I don't know, but it's on the table, that's for sure. And it just is highly likely that when there is a big action, there's going to be a counteraction to it. So whether people care or not about Ukraine, I'm telling you and I'm warning you that it's these types of world stage events that have repercussive strikes on us or someone else. And I think that we would be the top target at this point. By default, by design here on the world stage, it's the way the puppet masters are running it. It's the downfall of America, if you haven't caught on to it, and Enter the Dragon here on the world stage with China as they send them to the forefront. And in the mix of all this, there's going to be some big time shifting around that could bring this thing down. And when it comes back up online, it could be the North American Union. Really could be, because that's what they want here in the end. And it's all about control. I'm going to leave links. Follow me on Twitter.
Going on? My name is Luis. Today is February 23rd, 2022, and welcome to the Grand Supreme News Channel. Before I start, guys, give this video a big thumbs up and share this video. We got some breaking news updates when it comes to rumors of wars. Look out, there's a huge blackout hit Kiev. You have the G and banking websites under DDoS strike. I think that's how you pronounce it, right? DDoS? Or DDoS or whatever. So basically, I guess it's the system, telecommunication, website, banking, ATM, down, completely down. So yeah, we have tons of information, guys. A lot of stuff is going on. The bear has responded to the sleeping giant thanks. That's going to be my next video. Oh, actually, no, the next video is going to be really powerful. They are saying that the bear is going to strike in the next couple of hours. Basically, the sleeping giant is saying that there's going to be war in the next couple of hours. That, again, that's not me. That's a sleeping giant. And you know how sleeping giant are notorious when it comes to all these prediction stuff. So there's a possibility maybe the sleeping giant is trying to start something, you know. So we have tons and tons of info. This one here is very important. Also, I do have some more. I'm gonna share this one too. The bear tanks move to Mariupol, a state of emergency and mobilization in this land. So you have 3 million citizens to leave the bear. All right, so like I said, guys, we have very important information. We need to pray for a lot of people. We do, guys. Oh, and by the way, multiple nations like Romania, Poland, and all that, they are receiving thousands of refugees. People are leaving, great numbers. I heard that there's almost 1 million that it's heading towards Poland. So there's a lot of movements going on here. Now, let me tell you guys something. Many people in the eastern part of this land were happy that the bear leader has declared the independent states for the Donbass region area, right? So they were celebrating, you know, fireworks going on and all that. But then the sleeping giant got involved and say, no, it's not supposed to happen. And they slammed the bear with sanctions and stuff like that. So, again, you guys already know that story, but the bear has responded to them thanks. Now, before I start, guys, give this video a big
Hey, today is February 23rd, 2022. It's 12:30 p.m. Central here in the USA. God bless you and yours, no matter where you are in the world, folks. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. Ladies and gentlemen, Pentagon approves deployment of the National Guard troops for DC trucker convoy protest. They plan on shutting the entire city down via the beltway that surrounds the city. Hundreds of National Guard troops have been deployed to Washington, D.C. to help deal with the trucker convoy protests that are set to start this week, officials have said. The Department of Defense said that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin approved the deployments of the Guard, which had been requested by the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department and the U.S. Capitol Police. Quote, the people who live, work, and visit the district are part of our community, and their safety is our first mission and priority. Major General Sherry L. McCandless, D.C. National Guard Commanding General, said in a statement to news outlets, quote, the people who live, work, and visit the district are part of our community, and their safety is our first mission and priority. Major General Sherry L. McCandless, D.C. National Guard Commanding General, said in a statement to news outlets, quote, our MPD and USCP partners have asked for our help in ensuring people can demonstrate peacefully and safely, and we stand ready to assist. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a complete lie. They're going to shut the entire city down so that these actual trucks won't be allowed into DC. The approval will enable around 400 DC National Guard members to provide support and designate traffic posts, provided command and control and cover sustainment requirements. Guards deployed to the area will not be armed and will not help with law enforcement or carry out domestic surveillance activities. No aircraft will be used or have been approved for use. Austin also approved the United States Capitol Police's request for assistance for up to 300 additional National Guard troops from outside the Washington area to help at certain traffic posts and Capitol entry points. Brett Bart reports that will begin later than 7 a.m. on Saturday, February 26, according to Brett Bart, who note that 50 large tactical vehicles will also be placed at designated traffic posts on a 24-hour basis in the area, i.e. no entry whatsoever, folks. John Kirby, the Department of Defense spokesman, told news outlets in a statement on Tuesday that the department was analyzing a request for assistance from the U.S. Capitol Police and the D.C. Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency. Those agencies have asked for National Guard personnel to provide support at traffic control points in and around the district to help the United States Capitol Police and D.C. government address potential challenges stemming from possible disruptions at key traffic arteries. No decisions have been made yet to approve the request, Kirby added. The U.S. Capitol Police said recently that they were planning extra security in the nation's capital ahead of President Joe Biden's State of the Union address on March 1st, which looks set to cross over with the truckers' convoy and protest. Multiple convoys are planning to journey to Washington area in protest against mandates, among other issues and policies of President Joe Biden's administration in general. God bless you and yours, folks. They're not even going to allow these people to actually protest peacefully. Please share, please subscribe, and always remember that anything's possible in Bizarro World.
February the 23rd, 2022. Guys, you're looking at satellite images over the U.S. and Mexico and parts of southern Canada. The clouds that you're seeing going from the bottom left and headed northeast is a winter storm. Texas, you're going to have a lot to do with this, and it's just going to keep going from there. Also, you've got two different areas that we're seeing the Arctic vortex dip and bring in colder air. One over the Great Lakes and one coming down from Canada on the very west coast of the U.S. There's moisture being pulled off the Gulf of Mexico, too, as we look into this. Also, there's going to be a lot of traffic going from L.A. to the swamp this starting today, I think, from according to some reports. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so this weather could be affecting some of that travel. There's already going to be a lot of additional federal and local government support on these roadways, about 700 guardsmen, things like that, trying to keep exits clear, the whole 9 yards. We don't know what's going to happen yet. So just be mindful of what we're talking about and this travel weather, because we've seen just in the last few weeks some big pileups, 100 vehicles in the snow and ice, things like that. Here's the National Weather Service map. In the pink, guys, you got winter storm warnings. See that coming out of Texas into Oklahoma, Arkansas, further north. And the purple that's surrounding that is winter weather advisories. You've got these hard freeze warnings up in the mountains in California. You've got north of all of this, there are wind chill advisories, and the darker shades of that are wind chill warnings. Even avalanche warnings for you people that are thinking about going snow skiing in Colorado, right? But this is what we're going to be dealing with, and again, that call it the Rose Bowl to the Swamp Parade we're talking about is going to go right through this area. I've traveled these highways going to Phoenix many times, and you get into when you start getting into West Texas, it can get hairy, and then you got a lot of higher elevation from that point on. Now, I want to do a solar report. This image came in, and it's from the CME we saw the other day. It's a different satellite. It orbits the planet, but it's not one that we usually get the live feeds from. But this is a still image, and look at the size of that CME. If you took an image of our planet and scaled it to the sun, just one of those sunspots would probably hold at least a half a dozen of our Earths. Now, this one is from the Solar Dynamics Observatory, also Earth-facing images. Coming around the left side, top left side, is the system we've been watching. It's very large. It's got two very distinct sunspots. We're going to look at it in detail. And notice this filament release in the top right corner of this as it goes around. You're also having these filaments that you can see in the very center of the sun, and they can connect on one end with one of these solar active regions and release just like that image in the top right and cause a CME. But those are filament releases and not solar flares, but they will create coronal mass ejection. It's a very dark filter for the sun here, but it gives you very distinctly where the two sunspots are, and you can see the white areas around them. Check this out. Very active. There's energy involved in this. You can see it flowing. Both of these sunspots have dual magnetic properties, and that can cause the arcing. We don't know what's going to happen yet. They had about 3 or 4 vents as they were on the backside of the sun. This is same satellite SDO with a different camera. The same thing we just saw, but in color, and that gives you the color gives you the different polarities of these sunspots, or the different magnetic components of them. That can create arcing. Now, Mars was on the backside of the sun during most of the events we're talking about. And now it's quiet. This is a very good close-up right here. Notice your different color orange and blue areas very close together in those sunspots. And then the green area, this is part of that solar hotspot, the entire solar activity of this. It's a very wide area, and what that does is allow arcing and filaments all around the sunspots. We're just going to have to watch them. But again, Mars is on the backside. Now it's turning towards Earth. This is important. Venus is on this side, and Mercury. And what happens is we have a sun portal that connects to each planet, and it feeds energy to the Earth every 8.2 minutes. We'll look at that. These are also SDO images, different filters applied, so you can see different things, different energy levels, openings in the magnetic canopy where your solar wind comes from, and these hotspots. It's amazing to me, but it's God's creation, so that's how it is. Notice the filament top right there. You'll see some of that releasing. We'll have to pay attention to it.
All right. Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. I can tell you this, in case you had been keeping up with what's going on, especially over there in the markets and stuff, there's going to be a housing market crash. It's coming up, about like in 2008. Why am I saying that? Interest rates are off of the proverbial chain. What does that mean? That means a lot of people that were in houses now, they can't afford to live there anymore. Especially people who went and got a loan, and they got one of these adjustable rate loans or an ARM or something like that. Their mortgage was probably, I don't know, maybe $1,100, $1,200 a month. Now it's in excess of $2,200 a month, and they can't afford to keep the house. You see, the banks are something else. And that's the reason why I've done things differently. And I try my best to teach everybody how to do things differently, those who have ears to hear. You see, you can sit up there And you could be paying on a mortgage, a 30-year mortgage for 25 years, and you can lose your job that you think it's your job. It ain't your job. It's the corporation's job. It's the company job. The problem is this. You got to change your mind the way you do things. And you could sit up there and not make payments on that home for 6, 7, 8 months. It's going into foreclosure. And there's nothing you can do about it. So who actually owned the house then? Because where does all that money go? I mean, you paid 25 years on a home. So where does all that money go? And guess what? Guess who keeps the asset of the home? The banks does. And they don't care that you couldn't make it to 30 years. You signed a contract. You gave your word. You under obligation. Has nothing to do about inflation, stagflation, none of that stuff. And now you can't even afford to make ends meet. Now you got a job where you're just making a lot of money, scenario number 2. And because of the economy tanking, they can't afford to keep you on, paying you $30 and $35 an hour now. What are you supposed to do when you got all these toys? You got boats, you got cars, you got a big old lawn with a bunch of lawnmowers. I mean, you got jet skis and all this stuff. What do you do when you're in this extraordinary amount of debt? I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna do. You're getting ready to cry wolf because you're losing it all. Listen, I'm not playing at all, and I'm not being funny, but I'm telling you, this is what's happening. There are foreclosures going around all over the place now. Now, if people got money, i.e. the rich, when these things go into foreclosure, they're getting ready to get these homes for pennies on a dollar. And when they get these homes penny on a dollar, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna go in and they're gonna buy up these homes, and then they're gonna sell these homes for a profit. That's exactly what's gonna take place. And you're gonna have a lot of homeless people. The homeless, I mean, you think about this. Check on YouTube, check on Google and stuff and see how much the homeless population has literally increased just this year. And we ain't even a month and a half in this year already. It's bad. And guess what? All this is happening under Joe Biden and downtown Willie Brown, under their watch. Isn't it utterly amazing? Proud to be Americans, huh? Ooh-wee. And now people get thrown out on the street. Why? Because no matter if you fall on dead times, hard times, something like that, you deadbeat. You better pay your rent. You better do that. They're going to grab you by the back of your neck and throw you out on the street. And that's what's happening. And the banks don't care. So what did I do? Many, many years ago to avoid all this, because I could see it coming. I saw it coming in my early 30s. I said, I ain't falling in this trap. I'm gonna buy some land. I'm gonna learn how to build my own home. That's what I did. Am I kidding? Am I telling the truth?
Yes, you are. That's the truth.
And not only did I learn how to build my own homes, learn how to build homes in general to help out a lot of people. And I can tell you like this. I don't care what the American economy could experience, a recession, a depression. Ain't gonna touch us. Ain't gonna follow us. It don't mean nothing to us because we're not under that rule of thumb. We don't have no mortgage. We don't have no rent. Why? Because I'm a preacher that loves telling the truth and taking care of y'all's people. And I guarantee you, them filthy rich preachers out there, they're not going to be there. They're not going to be there for you and help pay off your home. They could. I guarantee you T.D. Jakes could pay off half of his congregation homes. Guarantee he could do that. Would that be a good benevolent gesture with all the money that everybody giving? I mean, after all, we're a tribe of Israel, right? All right.
Cuando tus hijos están en peligro, haces cualquier cosa para mantener.
Yeah, people are, I'm trying to go over to the next video, and I'm gonna be going over to the next video here in a bit. I gotta show you guys something, and then I'm gonna get into the Bible, Job 15. A lot of things are just happening, and so I really hope you took notice of what he was saying about the housing and food and shelter and clothing. Things gonna get really tight and expensive. So I'm gonna go to Dave Hodges and
we could have entitled this "When You Feel Like a Foreigner Inside Your Own Country," but there are some places in the country I still feel somewhat safe and secure, not like I used to. And I was recently thinking about going to New Hampshire. So I took a left turn, pardon the pun, and I got to the border and I'm thinking, do I need a foreign passport to get in here? I'll explain after I tell you. My name is Dave Hodges. I'm the host of the Common Sense Show. We are the show that is freeing America, one enslaved mind at a time. We're brought to you by Lightbug and what Putin wants to do to our grid, the upcoming conflict. Well, this is solar powered, powers your devices as well, including your cell phone. So yeah, this might be the way you want to go. It's really inexpensive. I'll tell you about that in a few minutes. Well, actually a few seconds. Let me just say this. This is used by hunters, fishers, campermen, recreation people. People want to do social partying in the backyard. They get a few of these. They light up the area. They put them on dimly lit stairwells. There's so many unlimited uses here. 3 levels of light, bright, medium, light. People use it to save on their utility bills, where they put this in rooms they don't use a lot, but they'll turn this on to have the light. This is solar, so it's not drawn from the grid. So you're not paying for this. You're saving money. And speaking of saving money, 50% off is offered by the manufacturer, but also you're going to get an additional 15% off because you're in our audience. Use the coupon code DAVE15. Go to lightbug.com, that's L-Y-T-E, lightbug.com, and you'll see a whole lot more information about this, but you'll say, this is something I got to have, and you'll probably end up buying. Well, we have, I think my wife said we have 4, so I think we have 4 of these. You'll buy several because it's inexpensive and they're so durable, and all you need is the sun. Lightbug.com. So I want to go into New Hampshire, but I'm kind of worried here. I'm in a foreign country. Will they speak English when I arrive? Because they're certainly not practicing American constitutional practices in New Hampshire. And New Hampshire, my goodness gracious, it was one of the cradles of freedom for the American Revolution. How horrible for the country for what I'm just about to tell you. Now, can I ask a question? Who should be allowed to vote? So let me ask you, well, multiple choices, okay? And you can vote more than once. Should Native Americans be allowed to vote? If they're over 18, yes. Register, yes. What about people of Chinese extraction living in America? Are they citizens? Yeah, okay. How about any other race of people? I'm not going to run through all the races, but you get the idea, okay? So race is not exclusionary. We need to teach our kids about what happened with the grandfather clause and nonsense like that, and teach our kids never to do that. We don't need critical race theory to teach that, inaccurately I might say, but we need to own up to it and say it can never happen again. But today, should your political party? No, it shouldn't. This is pretty interesting. There are no exclusions on voting as long as you're not a felon, as long as you're over 18 and you're a citizen of the United States. But if you live in New York City, and in particular now, New Hampshire, my gosh, isn't Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire? It's where they made the movie What About Bob with Bill Murray. That's my recollection. Nice people. I was so influenced by what I saw in that movie about the good people there. But here's the deal. They're allowing foreign citizens to vote in the upcoming election. They're allowing ballots to be printed in a multitude of foreign languages. This is unconscionable. How is this even legal under the Constitution? I know that voting, well, not according to Biden and Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, but voting is supposed to be under the control of the states. I get that. But voting is for citizens. But in New Hampshire, you don't know what you're going to get. Do I have to have a foreign passport to enter the state now? This is incomprehensible. I want you just to think about this for a second. Get beyond the outrage that we're allowing foreigners to vote in American elections. But why would any people running our government want this to happen? Leave your answer in the description box. I'm really interested to read it. My name, again, is Dave Hodges. You've been watching The Common Sense Show. Please share this far and wide. Like us on the way out. And you should be a member of the CommonSenseShow.tv. We get 4.
The biggest mistake of your life is to ignore and not pay any attention to the voice of God. That is the biggest mistake you will ever make. I promise you. To ignore the voices of the messengers from God. For God sent you his messengers. He sent you his prophets, his teachers. And you have turned a deaf ear to the voices that are crying in the wilderness, warning you to repent, to be baptized, prepare the way for the Lord. Malachi chapter 3 and verse 1. Prepare the way for the Lord. And the Lord whom you seek shall suddenly come to his temple. We all know that the man of sin will be revealed first. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3 through 8. The false Christ will be revealed first. He will exalt himself above God. He will sit in the temple of God, showing himself to be God. Matthew 24 and 23, Jesus warned you himself. If any man say to you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. I hope you're listening. Verse 26, if they tell you he's in the desert, go not. Matthew 24 and 15, the abomination of desolations, spoken by Daniel standing in the holy place. Revelation chapter 11 and verse 1. When the man of sin is revealed suddenly, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 3, when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction cometh. This will be the sorrow and the great tribulation of Jerusalem. Luke 21 verse 20 through 24. The false Christ will be revealed first. He is waiting for the temple to be built. And when the temple is built, the false Christ will be revealed. And suddenly, after the destruction, he will suddenly come to his temple to deceive the nations. Are you paying attention? Israel, your enemies are coming. They are preparing for war against you. They have built their weapons and military force. The forces of the Gentiles will be at your gates, and fire will rain down upon you very soon. Your enemy is at your gate. Put on your armor, take up your sword, and prepare for battle. Even the angels in heaven have their armor and their swords ready for battle. For it is a time of war. Prepare for battle. The enemies of America and the enemies of Israel will no longer be restrained by the Holy Spirit of God. He is no longer going to hold them back, because the time is coming when the hand of God will be lifted. And that which was restrained and held back, Revelation 7:1, even the four angels are holding back the four winds until those are sealed, Revelation 7:4, until they have received the Holy Spirit. And then the restrainer. Those that restrain and hold back the destruction and the disaster and the great tribulation will no longer hold it back, nor will it be restrained by the hand of God. The hand of God will be lifted. And the desolations that were determined in the book of Daniel are coming. And the false Christ will be revealed. And suddenly he will go to the temple, exalted himself above God, blasphemy in the name of God, speaking all manner against him, against his tabernacle. And that tabernacle is the one that's in heaven. Revelations 12:1. That Jerusalem. Galatians 4:26. Revelations 21:2. He will blaspheme the things of God. He will try to expose God and the tabernacle of God and those that dwell in the heavens, to expose them to the nations and blaspheme them and speak all manner of evil against them falsely, because he is exalting his throne, his power, his rule, and his authority over the throne of God. If you ignore this warning and you turn a deaf ear to it, remember me. I am the voice crying in the wilderness. I am the messenger of God. Remember me, for you were warned, and you refused to hear the messengers that were sent to you. Turn a deaf ear if you wish, but in the time of great tribulation and sorrow, you will remember me. God bless you, church. In
Okay, people, I'm sorry. I thought I had this muted, but I guess I didn't do it right. So we're going to go to the Bible and read from Job, and Job in the 15th chapter. Job does not fear God. And Empipha, I'm not saying it correct. Empipha the Telmanite answered Job and said, Empipha accuses, okay, Job does not fear God. Can't pronounce it right. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get through it, I think. Father, be with me as we do this reading of the word in the Bible. Let your Holy Spirit be with me as I read it from the Bible to the people. We thank you so much. Shalom. Then Empipha the Temanite answered Job and said, should a wise man such as you utter such windy and vain knowledge as we have not heard? So Job was just saying, you know, he wanted to know why people so vain, and then he talked about it going down, and you see he talked about this other stuff, as we have heard, and filled himself with the east wind, a withering potsherd and violent accusation. Should he rebuke and argue with useless talk, with the words in which there is no benefit? Indeed, you are doing away with fear, and you are diminishing meditation before God. For your guilt teaches your mouth, and you choose to speak the language of the crafty and cunning. I'm sorry for the background noise if you hear any. Your own mouth condemns you, and not I. Yes, your own lips testify against you. Were you the first man to be born, the original wise man, or were you created before the hills? Do you hear the secret counsel of God, and do you limit the possession of wisdom to yourself? What do you know that we do not know? What do you understand that is not equally clear to us? Among us are both the gray-headed and the aged. How many you think? Tell me about that one. Older than your father. Are the consolations of God as we have interpreted them to you too trivial for you, or were we too gentle towards you in our first speech to be effective? Why does your heart carry you away, allowing you to be controlled by emotion? And why do your eyes flash in anger or contempt, that you should turn your spirit against God and let such words as you have spoken go out of your mouth? What is man that he should be pure and clean? He who is born of a woman, that he should be righteous and just? Behold, God puts no trust in his holy ones, angels. Indeed, the heavens are not pure in his sight. How much less pure and clean is the one who is repulsive and corrupt, man who drinks unrighteousness and injustice like water. I will tell you, listen to me, and what I have seen I will also declare. What wise men have freely told, and have not hidden anything passed on to them from their fathers. And I was thinking about generational curses going on. To whom alone the land was given, and no stranger passed among them, corrupting the truth. The wicked man withers with pain all his days, and numbered are the years stored up for him, the ruthless one. It's just like we going through the same thing our forefathers went through, and many people are very wicked. A dreadful sound of terror is in his ears, while at peace and in time of prosperity the destroyer comes upon him. The devil, Satan, he's a destroyer. The tent of the robber is not at peace. He does not believe that he will return out of darkness for fear of being murdered, and he is destined for the sword of God's vintage. People don't believe today that God is just this nice person, but one day you're going to see he's got another side to him as well. He wanders about for food, saying, "Where is it?" He knows that the day of darkness and destruction is already at hand. Distress and anxiety terrify him. They overpower him like a king ready for battle, because he has stretched out his hand against God and behaves arrogantly against the Almighty. That's what the world is doing today. They are against God. They don't want God. They don't need God. You know, they want to lean on their own understanding. They don't want to trust God. So that's what's going on today right now. So he was talking, I'm going to read it again, because he has stretched out his hand, and God have his hand stretched out still. But still today, people don't want to behave. They don't want to behave. They want to just do what they want to do. So it says, behaves arrogantly. And so all they running and charging headlong. I call it headstrong, but headlong against him with his ornamented and massive shield. For he has covered his face with his fat, and layers of fat to his thighs, giving himself up to pleasures. That's all the world think about, is pleasures. And he has lived in desolate, God-forsaken cities, in houses which no one should inhabit, which were destined to become heaps of ruins. He will not become rich. Okay, a lot of people was chasing the riches, but he will not become rich. And you see his wealth, nor will his wealth endure. And his grain will not bend to the earth, nor his possessions be extended on the earth. Boy, that's something to think about. He will not escape from darkness, fleeing disaster. The flame of God's wrath will wither his. Let me see here. I just want to think about that disaster thing, because people just really, they won't even get no blessings on earth, Yeshua says, when they do that. He will not escape from darkness, feeling disaster. The flame of God's wrath will wither his branch, and by the blast of his mouth he will go away. Let him not trust in vanity, as I was reading before about over in Solomon about Ecclesiastes. He said all is vanity, all is vanity. So he's talking about let him not trust in vanity, emptiness, fertility, and be led astray, for emptiness will be his reward for such living. It will be fulfilled while he still lives, and his branch will not be green, but shall wither away. He will fail to bring his grapes to maturity, leaving them to wither unnourished on the vine, and will cast off blossoms and fail to bring forth fruit like the olive tree. For the company of godless is barren, and the fire consumes the tents of bribery, wrong, and injustice. They conceive mischief, and bring forth wickedness, and they inmost soul prepares deceit and fraud. A lot of fraud going on today. People's credit cards, people using people's name, people using people's addresses, you know, trying to get ahead, trying to do things they shouldn't do. A lot of fraud goes on in banks and everything. It's a lot of fraud going on. I deal with it all the time in my ministry sometime, but we're getting smarter now. So, but you know, all these things are going on all the time. So we need to be really aware of it. So I'm going to go here now and going over to Maranatha, 286 page, October 5th. So let's go over to Maranatha. Go ahead and mute out again. Let me see if I can find it. Hope I got this right. Oh, I have to go look it up. I got to go look it up, people. I forgot that I didn't put it out there. So I got to go look for it. Excuse me. I got to go look for Ellen White audio. Let's see, Ellen White audio. Okay, let's go. Not seem like it's taking so long to open up. Okay, Maranatha. October 5. October 5. God's law appears in the heaven.
October 5. God's law appears in the heavens. The heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself. Psalm 50, verse 6. The clouds sweep back and the starry heavens are seen, unspeakably glorious in contrast with the black and angry firmament on either side. The glory of the celestial city streams from the gates ajar. In the temple will be seen the Ark of the Testament, in which were placed the 2 tables of stone on which are written God's law. These tables of stone will be brought forth from their hiding place, and on them will be seen the 10 Commandments engraved by the finger of God. These tables of stone now lying in the Ark of the Testament will be a convincing testimony to the truth and binding claims of God's law. Sacrilegious minds and hearts have thought they were mighty enough to change the times and laws of Jehovah, but safe in the archives of heaven, in the Ark of God, are the original commandments, written upon 2 tables of stone. No potentate of earth has power to draw forth those tables from their sacred hiding place beneath the mercy seat. There appears against the sky a hand holding 2 tables of stone folded together. Says the prophet, the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself. Psalm 50, verse 6. That holy law, God's righteousness, that amid thunder and flame was proclaimed from Sinai as the guide of life, is now revealed to men as the rule of judgment. The hand opens the tables, and there are seen the precepts of the Decalogue traced as with a pen of fire. The words are so plain that all can read them. Memory is aroused, the darkness of superstition and heresy is swept from every mind, and God's 10 words, brief, comprehensive, and authoritative, are presented to the view of all the inhabitants of the earth. It is impossible to describe the horror and despair of those who have trampled upon God's holy requirements. The enemies of God's law, from the minister down to the least among them, have a new conception of truth and duty. Too late they see that the Sabbath of the 4th commandment is the seal of the living God.
So thank you people for watching. I appreciate you watching today. I know all these things coming on the earth. We don't hope we never have to have an explosion, nuclear attack, or bombs or missiles or any of those things happen. But we got a lot of things going on, so we have to continue praying, keeping yourself really guarded against all these things coming on the earth. War and on every side. Sometimes you wonder, are you going left, are you going right? Which way should you go? You know, we have to learn to really call on the Lord and trust in him in all things. So the 7 candlesticks, you know, I really believe that we're in the end at the end, and we have all these things going on around us. So we have to be careful. I mean, every day you see somebody shooting somebody, killing somebody, murdering somebody. We had an incident here in Colorado yesterday. Pueblo West had a shooting. A cop was shot or something like that in a school system. And we always got these things happening all around the world. We just got murders, more murders than ever before. So we have to know that it's a time of the signs of the time, and we need to be continually praying for our families and staying close to the Lord and seeking the Lord while he may be found. Call on him while he is near. The red alert is to go into Yeshua Messiah Haya. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. The breaking news, I came here today to share breaking news with you. So I hope you guys are preparing, having gas, food, water inside your homes. We don't know what can happen any moment. I will be putting another link in the description box where Lewis just sent me here not long ago, and he's talking about war going to start here soon. So we just need to be really ready and know all these things are going on. So I'm going to go ahead and thank you guys for all your support and your prayers. I thank you for all the offerings to help the homeless, the orphans, the widows, and those that need a mission field. May Yahuwah bless you all. Tiley app, Cash App, Bump Card options, also fmcmi.org, marner.cam@gmail.com, at PayPal, and also mailing your donations at Fill My Cup Ministries, Post Office Box 414, Canon City, Colorado, 81215. Shipping address, Fill My Cup Ministries, 1501 Main Street, number 414, Canon City, Colorado, 81212. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I'm going to go ahead and do a short prayer for you. I really know that we are in some serious times right now. As the messenger said, they're getting ready to bring out the Antichrist system. And so we need to be seeking the Lord while he may be found and calling on him while he is near. And Father, I just ask that you please be with all the people watching today, putting angels in the midst of their households. Just so much going on. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, we thank you, Father. We just bind Satan and all his evil angels, below, beyond, beneath, mentioned and unmentioned, known and unknown. I bind all evil spirits on assignment against us tonight, today. We ask that your Holy Spirit will supply the people's needs, whether it's physical, mentally, spiritually. And we ask that you come quickly, come quickly. So we know that all these things are going on around us. A lot of people are sick. A lot of people are homeless. A lot of people have lost jobs. We got all kind of situations going on. We ask that you please hear our prayers tonight, Father, helping us to be really understanding that we must put our trust in you at all times. So I just ask that you please be with the people all over the world, missionaries, our ministries, all the different people in our families going through things in our families. We got all kind of things happening. We just ask for these blessings in your name, and we thank you. We call on your wonderful name, and we bind up the enemy. We bind up the devil. We bind up Satan and all his evil angels. We put them into the abyss till day of judgment. It's just so much is happening, Father. We must keep the blood over our households, the blood over our households. And so I put the blood over our households of all of you guys watching, and I thank you so much. We ask all these blessings in my name, Yeshua Messiah. Haya. So I'm going to go now, and I thank you guys for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. We know that this day is a day of darkness coming,